Welcome to Garden Plants with Jim Putnam. Let's talk Dwarf Hinoki Cypress. So this is Dwarf Hinoki Cypress, or Chamaecyparis obtusa nanogracilis, which is a mouthful, the Latin name on this one. This is one of my favorite plants. It's soft to the touch. It's an upright, narrow growing conifer. Really beautiful bright green foliage on it. Again, you can do this and you can't do that on a lot of conifers. I would expect this one, whatever height it is, to have about half that width. And so you'll see tags that say these only get 3 to 6 feet in height. It'll blow through that eventually. It's a slow growing conifer, so it won't be quick to do it, but I've seen these over 10 feet in height. And again, if it's 10 feet in height, I would expect it to be between 4 and 5 feet in width, something like that. This slow growing conifer is hardy in zone 4 to 8. So a lot of people watching this video can grow this plant. You'll see them listed for sun or part shade. This one happens to be here in Raleigh, North Carolina in zone 7B. It is in the full sun from early morning, and I mean really early morning until late in the evening. And it tolerates it just fine. Typically in the landscape, I'll see these in part shade in the southern regions doing a little bit better. Obviously, if you're up in zone 4 or 5, it will definitely take full sun. The way I've gotten away with having this thing out here in the full sun is it's underplanted with some annual flowers and some perennials. There's no weeds around it. It's mulched well. It's been watered when it needed water. So, I've given it a pretty good life here, but I don't think it would want 15 hours or 14 hours of direct sun like it's getting in the middle of summer without those additional protections. The color on this is just amazing to me. It's got these grow in those little flat branches like this, which is really unique looking, and a lot of Chamaecyparis grow like this. If you look under the side of it here, it has this blue-green coloration on it. And then, you can see that right there. Beautiful. Again, soft to the touch. And it's that blue-green foliage, but all the new growth on it is a much lighter green. And this is when you expect to be getting some growth on these here in the fall and in the late winter, early spring. So what are we going to use this for? Almost anything. This is a great choice if you wanted to do something interesting, like bonsaiing something or taking something and manipulating it with wire to make an interesting shape. Great choice on the corner of a foundation, the part shade space. Great container choice. It's so cold hardy that even folks in colder areas can keep this one in a container through the winter time. Check on the watering in the winter. If a pot freezes solid, during the winter, the plant can't get any water. So do check on that. But this makes a great container choice. Here for me, I've got a path coming this way on my right and a path coming on this side over here. And it's just a perfect little corner piece. It's set back a little bit and lower things are planted around it. This fantastic accent plant really doesn't have any special planting requirements other than, as with most conifers, they don't like wet feet. So if it's an area that stays wet in the winter time or any time of year that would have standing water, this would not be a good choice. I have clay soils here in Raleigh and we have to mound everything up just a bit to keep from drowning anything. So that was done on this plant. Other than that, really not any worry on planting it. This soil had a layer of compost added to it, and then that compost gets mixed in as we plant. It wasn't tilled in or anything. It was just top dressed with it. And then it gets tilled, it gets incorporated when things are planted, and then it's been well mulched, again, underplanted with other things here. You'll have to do some watering on it the first year it's in the landscape. Conifers are not great at letting you know when they're dry. So this is a trickier thing with conifers, whereas leafy evergreen plants tend to wilt and kind of let you know they're dry, or annuals or whatever it is. Conifers just start getting thin in the interior, and it takes a long time for them to recover. So if it's abnormally dry, do be checking on any conifer that you have in the landscape and water them really well, and then let them dry out between rains and watering. One other thought on positioning your Dwarf Hinoki Cypress would be wind. If you're up in zone 4, zone 5, if the ground freezes solid and this is in direct wind in the wintertime, it definitely can desiccate, meaning the water leaves the foliage faster than the roots could get the water up because the ground's frozen. So, you know, out of the winter wind in those zones, it'll change a bit of color to a slightly bronzier color in the colder climates. Down here in the south, it'll stay this color the entire winter. Pruning, there's not really any pruning you're going to need to do on this. You know, you might get a crazy limb to the side that you could cut off anytime you want, but I think I would really look to put this in a space where you can just let it grow. Someplace where it wouldn't matter if it's 8 feet tall and 4 feet wide, so you can really enjoy it in the future, because any kind of general shearing or pruning on it is going to take away from this really interesting look that it has. I only fertilize my trees and shrubs in the late winter, early spring with some sort of slow release fertilizer, always organic. Again, I'm keeping the soil covered in mulch. I'm watering when it needs water. I'm keeping the weeds away from it. And my conifers here in the south are underplanted with other plants to keep them from the sun from beating up on the roots. And so that's it. This is Dwarf Hinoki Cypress, and it's one of my absolute favorites. Thanks for watching.